What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode of the Iron Roots podcast. I'm Zach Evnesh, your host, and in today's episode, I'm super excited to talk to you about a training method that has stood the test of time for almost 60 years. Coaches, bodybuilders, lifters, athletes from all around the world are still using this program to gain strength and to gain size. So let's get into it. We're talking about the 5x5 program.
This is Plays Iron Roots, a podcast dedicated to uncovering the strength legends, the training methods, and the stories around physical culture and iron history. I'm your host, Zach Evnesh. Grab yourself a protein shake, chalk up, and prepare to travel back in time through some of the most awe-inspiring stories of iron history. It's go time.
This was originally written in 1960 in Reg Park's training book called Strength and Bulk Training for Weightlifters and Bodybuilders. Reg was a 3-time Mr. Universe winner, and he was actually one of the first bodybuilders to push size, competing at 225 pounds back in the 50s and 60s. And if memory serves me correctly, I believe he was one of the earliest bodybuilders to bench press 500 pounds. Here's a photo from an old school magazine called Hard Gainer. This is Reg on the cover. He was Arnold's mentor before he even met Arnold. And then the other book we're going to be referencing is from the late, great Bill Starr called The Strongest Shall Survive. It's one of my favorite books because it's simple, it's powerful, and that's exactly what I love about training. The most effective training often is simple and basic. So I'm going to break down the two different variations of the 5x5 program. The way that Reg Park outlined his 5x5 program is similar to what I'll implement with the athletes I train today. So the first 2, maybe 3 sets is a warm-up. You get 2 sets of 5, maybe a third set of 5, and then you're going to hit your heaviest set usually by that 4th set. You're going to try to hold that weight for the 5th set to get another set of 5. So let's say you were benching, it might go 135, 165, 185. Then you get to 205, you hit it for a 5, rest a little bit, you get a 5th, another, so that's your 5th set in. And then Reg advised that once you get to 3 sets and you could hold it for 5 reps, 3 sets of 5, then you're allowed to add weight. The slight difference in how Bill Starr organized it was usually that 5th set was the top end set. So you might work up and first set, 2nd set is your warm up. 3rd set we would call medium. 4th set medium heavy. 5th set was your top end set. The difference between Bill Starr's program and Reg Park was Bill Starr often implemented his 5x5 as a circuit. So he would have the power clean, the squat, and the bench press as a circuit or as stations when he would train athletes. So the way that Bill Starr came up with 5x5 is he had done some research and he found that training for strength, for power, the best effect came from 4 to 6 sets of 4 to 6 repetitions. So he simplified it, just put it into a 5x5, created a big 3, which was the squat, the bench, and the power clean. And sometimes he would substitute the overhead press for the bench press. He also added in some real basic bodybuilding work, things to kind of keep the tendons and ligaments going, basic leg extensions, leg curls, and sometimes barbell curls. The circuit method he implemented was because back in the day, weight rooms, whether it was at a high school or a university, they just didn't have a lot of space. They had a lot of athletes, minimal space, and they just tried to organize the guys according to strength so that if the next guy's going and he was adding weight, then the person after that didn't have to take weight off. They just made it as time efficient as possible. Bill also utilized the circuit because he found it was just great for cardiovascular. It got the guys in shape. And that's something that I've spoken about many times with my own training is that I love to do supersets or couplets, which we learned about, or I learned about from Arnold's Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, where he would do a push-pull or an upper body and a lower body exercise. And it just got the lifters in shape. The bodybuilders of the golden era were definitely in a different kind of condition than what we see today. And for athletes, I found it was great for strength endurance, for muscular endurance, and also for power endurance if we were using lighter weights. In a conversation I've had with Marty Gallagher, he often utilized that 5x5 method when he was coaching powerlifters like Kurt Karwoski. And he said 5x5 was just this optimal blend of building strength, building size. And through my experience, I found that when I consistently go too heavy and I'm doing a lot of singles or doubles or triples, that I burn out. And with training the athletes, they just don't get that strong. They need to put on that muscle by doing the 5x5. So in today's lesson, it's really us going back to the 60s of Reg Park. And this book, The Strongest Shall Survive by Bill Starr, I'm not sure when the first one was written. Let's take a look here. Let's see when the first edition came out. 1976. So I was born in 75. So it's amazing to hear that in the mid-70s, Bill Starr was doing this kind of training today known as strength and conditioning, when still many coaches were saying you'll get muscle bound or your muscles will turn to fat and you'll get slow. And way back to those 50s and 60s, Reg Park had such a different kind of physique, and that's why Arnold Schwarzenegger was so inspired by him. I remember reading Arnold's books, and he described Reg's physique as rugged and looked like built from granite or carved from stone. And it was so inspiring to hear about this. And when Arnold actually first got to train with Reg, he said that Reg just blew him out of the water with how strong he was. So Arnold, struggled with his calves, and he was doing 400-pound calf raises, and I believe Reg was using 800 or 900 pounds on his calf raises. So the 5x5 method works great. I've implemented with great success with beginner lifters because it allows them to work on technique yet not get too fatigued. And I've also blended the way Bill Starr builds you up until that fifth and final heavy set. But I also love the way Reg Park did it, where you're trying to get those 3 hard sets of 5 with the same weight. And a little caution behind that is if you're training athletes, especially a beginner to an intermediate, sometimes they can't maintain that heavy set. So maybe the 3rd and 4th set is the heavy, and then that 5th set they have to drop down. But the bottom line, you're sticking to that 5x5, whether you're going by Bill Starr's method or Reg Park's method. And echoing what Marty Gallagher said, it's this optimal blend of strength and size. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Iron Roots. Make sure you check us out at ironrootspodcast.com. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Leave a review. And I'm excited to share the next episode and the next journey through strength history.